Hello everyone. Yesterday we had seen three different types of solutions: hypertonic, hypotonic and isotonic, and based on that movement of water. And what do we call it? Today we will understand the process in deep. That is, why does osmosis takes place? How does water enter inside if we have these different types of solutions? So let us begin our class. Osmosis. As I had talked of it in last video, osmosis is a process in which movement of water, let me change my pen. Movement of water takes place from its higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, now let us understand how this happens. Suppose I take a beaker. Sorry for this drawing. Which is separated by a selectively permeable membrane. So this is compartment A, this is compartment B. Now we have water present in both of them, and the molecules of water that is present in it is 1000 molecules in this also, and 1000 molecules in this also. Now this is in both the sides of the beaker, both the sides of the membrane, we have equal molecules of water. Now let us add sugar to it. Suppose I add 200 molecules of sugar in this side and 250 molecules of sugar in this side. So now what has happened? This has become a solution in which we have water as a solvent and sugar as a solute. This, out of this 1000 molecule, how many sugar molecules are there? 200 sugar molecules are there. So 200 water molecules are associated with this 200 sugar molecules. So how many free molecules of water are there? There are 800 molecules of free water. What about this side? We have 250 molecules of sugar. So how many free molecules of water are there? There are 1000 minus 250, there are 750 molecules, free molecules of water. So where do we have more concentration of water? Higher concentration of water is on A side. So water will start moving from A to B. So this is until it reaches the equilibrium. So this is what happens in osmosis. The movement of water takes place from its higher concentration to its lower concentration. It is necessary to write it's at both the places. Why is it necessary? Because we are considering the solvent only. So movement will take from A to B. Now this type of solution, in simple terms if we call, where we have less molecule of solute in it, that solution is dilute in nature. This is a dilute solution. And what about this solution? In respect to this solution is concentrated solution. So we also say movement of water or solvent takes place from dilute solution to concentrated solution, towards concentrated solution, until the equilibrium is reached. This is important. You have to write this, until the equilibrium is reached. Let me write over here. Until the equilibrium is reached, right? So this is another way of saying, defining osmosis, that movement of water from dilute solution towards concentrated solution. The dilute solutions are called hypotonic solution. And the concentrated solutions are called hypertonic solution. In this case, you see that movement of solution is taking from hypotonic to hypertonic. So osmosis can also be defined in this way, but you have to remember this definition which is given in the NCERT, that is, movement of water takes place from its higher concentration to its lower concentration until the equilibrium is reached. Exosmosis. We will see both of the process together. I am drawing a beaker in which we will take a solution where we will put the, if you remember, if the exosmosis is taking place, what kind of solution it should have? It should have hypertonic solution. Do you remember this? I had told you we add the numbers, that is hyper has 5 and x has 2, so 5 plus 2 should be 7. So if exosmosis has to take place, the solution that we will take is hypertonic solution. Now let us see how it happens. In one of the beaker we will take an animal cell, and in another beaker we will take a plant cell, right? So suppose this is an animal cell and this is a plant cell. So if this is hypertonic solution, then this should have hypotonic, this should be hypotonic in respect to this hypertonic solution. So here also we have hypo. And do you remember the definition, third definition that I gave you for osmosis? It is movement from hypo to hypertonic solution. So if cell is having hypotonic solution with respect to this, so water will move out of this. If water moves out of it, what is going to happen? This water comes out of cell, and number 2, the cell will become flaccid. Can you think of an animal cell where this happens? If you wash clothes for a very longer duration, the fingers, the tip of the fingers, they shrink. Why does they shrink? The solution in which we are dipping our hand, that is the detergent solution that we have taken, that forms an hypertonic solution with respect to our cells. So what happens? The fingers they shrink. Water comes out of the cell and the fingers they shrink. In case of plant cell, what will happen? Water will come out of this cell also. Cell will become flaccid in case of plant cells also, but the cell, the vacuole starts shortening, and all the cytoplasmic contents starts coming to one side of the cell. This is called plasmolysis. Now if we put this cell, where to draw it. Let me draw it over here. I should have put some space beforehand only. If this cell is placed in water, the deplasmolized cell is placed in water, what will happen? This solution will now become hypotonic with respect to this, and water will move inside the cell, and this will become deplasmolized. So, in case of animal cell, it is simple. Water comes out of the cell, cell wall will become flaccid. These two conditions are there with plant cell also, but it starts shrinking. The vacuole starts shrinking first, and then all the cytoplasmic organelles also, they shrink to one side, and that kind of cell is known as plasmolysed cell. And the process is known as plasmolysis. But if we put the same plasmolysed cell into water, now water becomes hypotonic in respect to the plasmolysed cell's concentration, and then water will start getting inside the cell, and the cell will again the vacuole will again start regaining its size, and that at that time the cell is known as the cell has been deplasmolysed. Next, endosmosis. In case of animal cell, if endosmosis, end has 3, so what kind of solution should we put here? Hypotonic. This is an animal cell. Let me write over here, animal cell is placed here, animal cell. What will happen in case of animal cell? Hypotonic, endosmosis, water is getting this, that means the cell is hypotonic in respect to the solution that we have taken here. So, what will happen? Osmosis is a process where water moves from hypo to hyper. So, water will move from this beaker into the cell. So, what are the things that have happened in this animal cell? Number 1, water gets into the cell. Number 2, cells become turgid. And number 3, after it becomes very swollen, it will burst. Cells burst after a certain time. What will happen in plant cell? Let us see that also. This is a plant cell. This is a hypotonic solution. So, this will become with respect to plants, with respect to this solution, it will become hypertonic solution. So, water will move into this. First two things will happen in this also, that means water gets into the cell. Yes, water gets into the cell and cell becomes turgid. But in case of plant cell, cells will not burst. Why will they not burst? Because they have cell wall. Right? So, in case of animal cell, the cell will burst after becoming fully swollen. But in for example, RBC, if you put RBC in a hypotonic solution, they will burst after a certain period of time. Initially, they will start having water inside it, they will start swelling. So, so after getting lots of water inside it, they will burst out. But in case of plant cell, this does not happen because they have a rigid cell wall around it. the cells will not burst in case of plant cell. Now let us take few examples that happen in our environment because of this osmosis process. One example that you might have seen, might have heard of, water gets into small plants, that is absorption of water in small plants takes place. Absorption of water by roots takes place in, this happens only in small plants, in due to osmosis. Another example is touch me not plant. How many of you have touched this plant? When we touch this plant, it immediately closes its leaves. Why does it happen? Touch acts as a stimulus. That stimulus goes around the leaf, and at the tip of the leaf we have a structure from where water loss takes place, and so all the cells, leaves, they droop out, they close in case of touch me not. So, these are some examples which are found in the environment where osmosis takes place. Now, few questions that are generally asked which is related to osmosis. After dried raisins are kept in water for few hours, what change would be observed in raisins? Name the process involved. This is a very common phenomenon. Dry raisins, black gram soap, any pulses, if it is soaked in water overnight, what happens to that? This is raisin. You can take any example, any pulse or different kind of dry fruits, anything. If you keep it in water soak it in water overnight, what will happen? Water will enter inside this. So, what is the process known as? Endosmosis takes place. Endosmosis takes place and raisins will swell up, right? Next question. If you are provided with some vegetable to cook, you generally add salt into the vegetables. After adding salt, vegetables release water. Why? When we add salt to vegetables, what will happen? The salt will form a hypertonic solution, and because of which the water will move out from the cells of the vegetable that we have added into it. So, what will happen? Let us draw this diagram. What happened? These are pieces of now these are vegetable pieces. Some salt is added, and this makes this solution as hypertonic, and because of which this becomes hypotonic and water starts coming out of it, right? So, movement of water from hypotonic to hypertonic solution. This you might have observed when you are preparing salad also. Generally, you are asked by your mother not to put the salt if you are preparing it, not to put the salt until and unless we are ready for eating, because if you put salt into it, all the cells will start losing out water. So, that becomes soggy. Next question. Why does the skin of your finger shrink when you wash clothes for a long time? I think I discussed this question when I was explaining that exosmosis. What happens? This is the bucket in which we have detergent solution. Detergent plus water. And if we put our fingers for long in this for long, what will happen? This becomes hypertonic solution for our finger, and water loses from those part of the cell which are in contact with the detergent. So that is why our fingers shrink when we wash clothes for a longer duration. So we have some more examples we will discuss along with some questions in the next class. Hope you enjoyed learning today. If you have enjoyed learning, do subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon. If you have liked the video, please share it with your friends also. Thank you for watching.